Hello, artists. Hello, my friends. It's Kelly Folsom here, and I want to welcome you back to another Art Life Conversations podcast. This is number 12. Can you believe this is number 12? I can't. I'm so excited. I can't. So that means that I've been doing this with you for 3 months. I've been doing it for 3 months. How amazing is that? It's our 3-month anniversary. Yay! Go us. Okay, so in today's podcast, I wanted to talk about a really nitty-gritty topic. And just to keep you guys, if you're just now joining, I just want everybody to be aware that everything that I talk about and share and offer with you is in hopes that it helps to serve you have a happier, fuller, thriving, more fulfilling art life. All right, and I think that requires a heck of a lot more than just learning technical skill, than just learning how to paint or how to draw or how to sculpt or whatever your art is. So in today's episode, we are going to be talking about a nitty-gritty topic, which is why you don't do the things you want to do, or the things that you say you want to do, and then you don't do them, you don't follow through, and then, of course, every time, whenever this happens, we end up feeling like a poo, right? Everybody's been there. I've been there, you've been there, we've all been there. What the hell is going on? Why do we say that we want to do something and then we don't end up doing it? All right, so I'm going to share kind of my perspective on this. As I mentioned, I entered art school about how many years ago now? 14 years, 2007, fall of 2007. And so I've been able to be an artist ever since then for 10 years professionally and 4 years in school, learning, and mostly learning technique and not learning any of these other things. And, I've always had like a really strong work ethic. I've always been a big action taker. But even still, I have very often run into this issue of, saying I want to do something and then I don't do it, or I procrastinate it, or I don't follow through. Have you been there? Probably so, right? And actually, I did a podcast not that long ago on procrastination. So how to deal with procrastination. So if you want to check that out, I've got some tools there on that. All right, so this issue, so let's say I decide I want to do something and then I, for some reason or another, just don't end up doing it or don't end up following through. I think there's a few different reasons why this happens. And so I'm just going to share those different reasons that I've stumbled upon in hopes that maybe one of those is one of your issues. I think the number one thing is we say we want to do something, but it's not really a want. We don't really want to do it. So we think we should do it. We think we're expected to do it. We think we're obligated to do it. We think we have to do it in order to be a true artist, for example. And so a lot of times the should, have to, need to, and the want all get like bundled up into one mess. And then we say we want to do something, but it's really not a want. We don't truly want to do it. So it's an obligation. It is out of, feeling like for some reason, like we have to do that. But we don't really have a great reason to do it, right? So that would be number 2 is like you're not really allowing yourself to fully want it and to understand why you want it. I think understanding why you want it is really key there. So for example, let's just take, for example, these podcasts. We tend to mix up the feeling of just the feeling that we all have of like not wanting to do work, like not wanting to show up and do it, or facing our fears of doing it and all that kind of stuff. We kind of mix that up with, feeling like we don't really want to do it. So we kind of lose sight of why we want to do something, or we're really not clear on the long-term want, really connecting with that long-term benefit of why we want to do something. Even becoming an artist, you can enroll in a class, sign up for a class. You can say, yes, I want to do this. I want to learn how to paint. And then you find yourself not painting, right? Maybe you find yourself watching the lessons or attending class, but then you're not practicing. You're not practicing, you're not painting. And so really with that kind of situation, I think really the problem is you're not fully connected to your want. You're not fully committed to your want. You haven't really visualized like, where is this going? What is the end result that I'm going to get out of doing this activity? So it's really just kind of an empty want, a very shallow want. And whenever it's shallow like that and we don't have full commitment to that want, well, then it's very easy to not follow through when the going gets tough, right? Or when we have a failed painting, or nobody's buying our paintings, right? It's very easy to stop showing up in those cases because we don't really have a deep connection to our want. So for example, with this podcast, if I was not 100% committed to doing this podcast, then it would just be way too easy for me to, go, well, I just don't feel like doing it today, because honestly, I don't feel like doing it today. As much as I love you guys, I love you. I want to help you, right? Like I want us to help each other and to build each other up so that we can all be more happy and successful and thriving artists. But really, when it comes down to it, most of the time, I don't feel like following through. It's not like that flesh resistance is not there, that physical resistance, right? Because most of us feel that, right? The only thing is I don't give in to that because I fully understand why I want to do this. Why do I want to do these podcasts? What is my long-term vision for this, right? And my long-term vision is both, well, number one, I'm going to grow and learn and transform by doing something new like this, which every time I've done that, I have been rewarded immensely in my life over the long run. And number two, my goal is to impact 5,000, in particular, women artists, to help women artists grow, evolve, transform, become more confident, have more success, have more financial success. And so this podcast is part of that. And that is a very long-term vision. Now, would I not help men? Of course not, but my specific vision is for women artists in particular. And I am a female artist voice, so I can really speak to other females in particular better than even how I can identify with male artists, right? So because I know why I want to do something, and I know that when I do something that helps women artists grow in their confidence, become more productive, become more successful, like to me that fulfills my purpose on this planet in such a deep way. It just lights me up, So for example, whenever I hear back from the artists who listen to this podcast, whenever you guys email in and say, man, that really made an impact for me. Thank you so much. That is just reward for my actions, for what I'm doing, and just confirms that the actions that I'm taking, that I'm on the right track. So I would say the first thing is, if you're saying you want to do something but you're not doing it, I would really look at question for real. Like, do I really want that? do I really, really want that? Or am I just saying that I want to do that? Am I just saying that I want to paint because I want to fit in with this group of artists, or, whatever the case may be? Am I just saying I want to do that because I think that's the right thing for me to do, but really I just don't have any desire to do it? So that would be the number one thing first, is just really question, like, is it truly a want? Is it truly a desire for you? And if it's not, why are you saying that? Why are you saying that you want to do something and then it's not really something you want to do, right? So I really just get honest about that. I think being honest with ourselves is the most important thing. Being truly authentic and honest is so important because we get our power back when we do that. So for example, when we're not being authentic and honest, and we're just kind of trying to fit into whatever circle we're in or get approval from others, whether it's other artists or family members or friends, or or maybe we're trying to kind of create this illusion of success, but we really don't even care about that success. All it does is you're lying to yourself and you're lying to everybody else, right? And then you lose your power whenever you do that. And then it just makes you feel like poo. It makes you feel like you're not a person of your word. You're not authentic. You're not truthful. And sometimes we just hide this from ourselves. We hide that truth from ourselves and from others, So that would be the very first thing I would do, is just really question, like, do you really want to do that? The next thing I would say is really look at why you want it and try to commit and connect on the deepest level that you can, and remind yourself of it every single day. This is why I want to do this. This is why I want to do this. Really envision where this is going, because a lot of times the tasks that we must do in order to get to that bigger vision or that bigger end result, whether it's getting better at our painting skills, building a stronger, more financially successful art business for ourselves, or getting awards, creating award-worthy work. All this stuff is like longer-term goals, and it requires daily commitment and daily tasks that just don't feel good to do most of the time. In fact, they kind of suck to do them most of the time, and they're uncomfortable, and they take effort, and they take working through pain, working through setbacks, and falling off the wagon and disappointments. It takes working through all that stuff on a daily, weekly, monthly basis for a longer term result. So that's why I think, like, the more clear you can be on your longer term result that you really want, and you allow yourself to really, really, really want it, like really want it. And there's nothing wrong with wanting it either. So the more that you can really connect with that, then the easier it's going to be for you to actually, follow through on the actions and tasks that you need to take every single day. The other thing I would watch out for is really quickly we tend to turn our wants into to-do lists, or this is kind of tied to that same idea, but we can quickly turn our true wants into to-do list or shoulds, or I have to do this. Even though we truly want it, sometimes we can kind of flip the script, so to speak, and kind of turn it into this obligation and this to-do list. And this has happened to me a lot too, because I tend to go into that mode a lot, very easily. I tend to go into, let's get shit done, right? GSD, get shit done. I tend to go into that mode very easily. And the problem with that is that it can turn it into now an obligation instead of a true want. It turns it into a should. I have to do this. I need to cross this off the to-do list. And when that happens, I think, we get overwhelmed, we get into burnout, then we start procrastinating. And really also we show up with so much less joy, so much less passion in our work. So for example, even as an artist, like if you don't stay connected to why you want to be an artist, why you want to get better at your painting, why you want to paint, when you don't stay connected deeply to that reason, then you can start to look at your studio time as, oh, now that's something on the to-do list that I got to cross off. Whereas, for example, 10 years ago or however long ago, your dream was to be an artist and you were so filled with this passion and this joy and this excitement and this love for it, and you just couldn't wait till you could be an artist, And then whenever we stop connecting with that want and we turn it into a should, well, then we start showing up differently. And then we start having problems showing up, right? Because now it's a should. It's not a want. And I think whenever we truly want something, we have this really, sort of intrinsic motivation from within. We don't need a lot of external validation and motivation to do it. So we're really functioning out of this internal place of power and passion and purpose, right? Whereas whenever we turn it into a should or a to-do list, we got to cross this off. We got to get in there and finish that commission. I got to get in there. I need to get in there and finish that painting. I need to get in there and finish that commission, then really it's a different energy. It's a different intention behind it. And I don't think shoulds, have tos, need to, obligation kind of motivation ever serves us. It doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve our artwork. It doesn't serve anybody, So it's difficult to maintain that connection every day over the long term. But again, the consequences of not maintaining that connection are just so harmful. Every time I've lost that connection in things that I do, and I do lose it sometimes. I lose my wanting. I lose my purpose for wanting it from time to time. And then it becomes like this drudgery task that I have to get through. And it's just not an enjoyable way to live, You feel like you have to do something. So I want to encourage all of you to really watch your language, whether it's in thought form or spoken form. I've started sort of this daily awareness practice of kind of policing the word need to, should to, have to, those phrases. And whenever I say those, then I really question okay, is this really an obligation? Or do I really actually want to do this? And if it's true that I really actually want to do this, I need to reconnect to that want. It's just a frame of mind switch, I don't know why as human beings we do this, but we do it. And so it happens and it's natural. And again, the last thing we want to do is beat ourselves up or think that somehow we're broken and everybody else has it all together, friend, because they don't. They don't. I don't, So I've started really being like a little police officer. I even sometimes kind of visualize a little cartoon police me going, oh, you get a ticket. You said need to, want to, should, but really it's just kind of a fun way of me trying to raise awareness for that, because I think it is so critical to be very clear on why you're doing something. Is it truly a want, or are you feeling like you just have to do this? And then there's been some things that I've questioned, like, do I really want to do that, or am I just writing that down on today's plan because I think I have to do it? And it's really liberating sometimes to go, no, I really don't want to do that. And you know what? I don't have to do that. I have free will and I can decide. And today I am not doing that thing. Or I'm cutting that thing out of my life altogether. I'm not going to write any more blog posts or, whatever the case may be. So, of course, I think, we always have to look at, okay, well, how would that impact if I decide not to do something? If I decide it's truly not a want, why isn't it a want? And how will that possibly impact perhaps a want that is a bigger want, because sometimes we have little things that we don't want to do and we really don't want to do them. But if we stop doing them, then it kind of impacts the bigger want or the bigger vision or the bigger goal, And so in those cases, really just taking the time to process it and think it through. Because if that smaller task really serves a bigger goal or a bigger vision, then you may actually start to see, no, I actually want to do that because that's going to lead me here. So for example, like if you have a goal to get out of debt, let's say, and I know that this isn't necessarily art related, but if you have a goal to get, but really it kind of is, because I had like $50,000 worth of student loan debt and it was a total bitch to have to earn the money to pay that back. But what made it a lot easier eventually for me was deciding like, I really want to pay that back because I want to, I don't have to. It's not a should, I don't need to, because before I was kind of using language like that. And once I shifted to, I really want to pay the student loan debt off because it's so heavy. And also it was private student loan debt, so it was higher interest. So I couldn't really justify saving for a home or investing my money, into a retirement account because the interest rates were so high on those private student loan debts that, I had a financial advisor at the time and she said, well, if I were you, I would really pay off these private student loans because there's no point in saving money and because basically, like you're paying them more money every year in interest. It's just obliterating anything that you could save or invest. So once I got really clear on, why wanting to pay off that debt was really going to serve me in the long term and really liberate me and lift this energy, I was able to really buckle down, and just I was just throwing money at that. I mean, thousands and thousands of dollars at a time. If I had a painting sale and I got $5,000, guess what? The majority of that money went to that student loan debt because the faster I could get out of it, the better. And obviously I didn't put myself financially at risk doing that, but it was so much motivation for me to earn the money so that I could, pay that student loan debt off because of my future want. Like, no, I don't want to carry this debt for another 20 years, another 30 years. Like, I don't want to be 50 years old with all this debt. We're at retirement age and I still have private student loan debt. Are you kidding me? So these are just tips and ways that you can think through things and adjust your thinking and your perspective about stuff so that you can do the things for yourself that really matters. And honestly, in the end, like, that's who you're doing it for. You're doing it for yourself, and you're doing it so that you can have a more happy, thriving, fulfilling life, right? And what that takes is showing up daily and doing those tasks and actions that maybe we don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. And most of the time we say, I don't want to do it. But I would really question that. Well, why don't I want to do it? So that you can separate out like, no, I'm just feeling like I don't want to do it right now. But when I really think about my want, my longer term want, I see clearly that I truly do want to do this and I want to follow through. All right, my friends. So I hope that this helps my perspective. I hope helps shed some light on why you don't do the things that you say you want to do. And again, the last 3 podcasts, I've left you with this question. Maybe it's the theme for September. What do you really want? What do you want for yourself, your health, your finances, your art, your art business, your relationships? What do you really want? Get clear on that, my friends, because it is your truth. It is your power. It is your motivation. All this other kind of motivation is really external motivation. Is sometimes it will work a bit, and that's okay. But most of the time, the motivation that works the best is that intrinsic internal motivation. All right, I will see you all at the next Art Life Conversations podcast. Be sure to drop me a line at info@artlifewithkelly, KELLI.com. Let me know what you thought about this episode, as well as any topics that you would like me to talk about or address, anything to do with art life. And that covers a broad spectrum of topics. So just email in and let me know what that is, and I'd be happy to share my perspective on it if I have one. All right, everybody, happy painting. Have a great day. Bye.